Camera number 381 is the Graflex Graphic 35. As indicated by the name, it's a 35mm range finder camera, and I would just like to take the opportunity to thank the good people at Real Camera in Liverpool, for whom I am very indebted to be able to review this camera. Very interesting number of features in the camera. So let's just start from the beginning, and looking at the front, we have our two rangefinder windows, our viewfinder window, and our lens is a Graflex Graflar f3.5 50mm lens, and it has a Prontor SVS shutter. One interesting feature about the camera is the way that it focuses. We have two levers here, and by moving the levers we focus. So no turning the lens barrel. You push these two buttons and you get to see a scale here on the front, the footage, I believe it's footage. There we go. So, very interesting feature. Initially, I must confess, I was a bit sceptical about whether it would work or not, but actually when you hold the camera, it is quite a natural mechanism to use. So there we go. We have our shutter cocking mechanism there, and our shutter release is actually this lever on the front here, which we push out. Now it won't unfortunately work because I need to put some film in it to show you that mechanism. So let's do that straight away, shall we? We take the back off of the camera by twisting and pulling out the back, and then we can put our film into our camera. We just have to match up the little slit there. Make sure I'm turning it the correct way. Oops, no I'm not. There we go. No, I'm obviously not doing that correctly. Okay, let's I think it's because the tongue of the film is slightly curved, so I'm not able to go right the way. Ah, there we go. That's it. There we go. And then we can see how the camera actually winds on. It has these little spools here through the sprocket holes, and then when we advance our film, it will naturally stop this mechanism, and then let's just put the back on. Make sure that we lock the film door here, and then once the film has engaged the mechanism, we can now release the shutter by pushing out the shutter button. So we can wind on our film, and in fact the manual suggests that you wind on the film. While we're talking about winding on the film counter shows you how many films or frames you have left. So you have to set it by pressing the button in the middle and rotating it to the number of frames you have. So say for example 24 exposure film, you'd set it at 24 or 25, and then wind on the film, and then cock the shutter, and then release the lever. So we can wind our film on, which as I said I think I interrupted myself. Wind the film on, and then when we're ready to take the actual photograph, cock the shutter, then take the exposure. There we go. Our apertures are around the collar here, and we just have this very conveniently placed handle that we can move with a little pointer there. Don't know whether you can see that. And now you've probably noticed there's a little colour coded along there. That's to do with the flash. We'll come on to that in a few moments. So then when we're ready to take our photographs, or we're seeing a photograph, we focus, and then cock the shutter. Wind the film on, which we should have done, which I just said, and then take the image. Okay. To rewind the film, we have to just lift the film spool here, and then we can wind our film back into our canister. I've noticed we have two windows, one to look through and one to use as a rangefinder. That's there. And then once we've got the film in, we can put that back down. There we go. And then either put another film in or put it away. So I mentioned this colour coding here, which actually is also visible. I don't know whether we can see that on the focusing distance. So, and it's basically to do with the flash, that once the flash shutter speed has been set, and in the manual there's a whole raft of different films, and depending on what film you use, you set the shutter speed, and then you basically focus, and on the basis of what you focused on, the distance, you then input the correct aperture by aligning the colour. So for example, if here we focused on something between 3 and 5 foot, it's red, and then so what we do is place our aperture on f11, which is where the red one is. Or if it were orange at 10 foot, we would then move it to orange, and it would be somewhere between, well, yes, f4, generally speaking. The flash, I do have a flash unit here, which is flash bulbs, and we place it on top of the camera, and it really does look the part. You can't actually see that, so I'm going to have to zoom back out. So here is the camera in all its glory with its flash. Obviously we put our flash bulbs in, and the unit does require batteries, and we do have to set it. There is a setting around the barrel of the lens. I think we have to set it to X or V, I can't remember now. You have to consult the manual there. I think it's X. And then we're good to go. So, very enjoyable camera to use. I didn't get to use the flash, obviously, but certainly got to use the camera. And it's quite substantial in the hand, but it's a very enjoyable camera to use, I must say. I was really quite enjoyed my time with it. So that's the camera number 381, the Graphic 35.